Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike here, back over at the Avatar tank. Wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about something that you might not be used to, especially if you're new to keeping shrimp. So I came out to the tank today and looked right here. And if you're new to keeping shrimp and you're not familiar with what a molt is, this, you might think that that is a dead shrimp. And this is actually not the case at all. This is a molt from one of my bamboo shrimp. This is huge. We'll pull it out of here in a second. But you can see there's two of them on the rock right here. The bottom one is about as big as the other one that's hiding. But that was the one that molted. Let's see if we can get a shot of him. See, he's back there and he's looking a little lighter colored. That's because he just shed his exoskeleton. And that's what a molt is. And all shrimp are going to do this. The cherry shrimps, the dwarf velvet shrimp, all of the invertebrates in this tank at one point or another will molt because that exterior shell, that exoskeleton, doesn't grow with the shrimp. It needs to lose it in order to continue to grow. So molting is a sign that your shrimp or your invertebrates are growing, which is really good. How often they molt is going to depend on a few things, mainly their growth rate. The other thing is, do they have the ability to molt, which can be related to the calcium in the water. So in order to make an exoskeleton, calcium is a vital component. So if your GH is really low in particular, that can prevent a natural molting cycle for your shrimp, which is typically anywhere from between 3 to 8 weeks in, sort of in general. If you have a really low GH, like this tank actually does have a pretty low GH and KH. I can't detect any KH. It's essentially, 0 according to a test kit. There is a little bit of buffer in there, but the substrate helps keep that down actually. But the GH is also kind of low. I think it's at 2 on the test kit, which is, not horrible. Obviously molting is taking place and everything's good, but you can easily correct this by getting some. They make these little calcium tablets that you can put into the tank. They're like little mineral cubes, and that can help increase that and make sure your shrimp have all the calcium and other minerals that they need to molt. Iodine is another really important one. You typically don't need to add it, but if you have a ton of shrimp in a tank and your water's parameters aren't set up to facilitate molting very well, there's a bunch of different things that you can add to help promote it. So it's up to you whether or not you remove the molt or leave it in the tank. I haven't decided if I'm going to leave this one in here. These bamboo shrimp shed these huge exoskeletons. It doesn't help the scape out too much, but I'll probably just move it and put it back behind one of the rocks and let it break down. That thing's going to be loaded with minerals and other good stuff that will help recirculate into the water and end up being beneficial for everybody in here, including the plants. So if we look around the tank, we can see some other little pieces of molt here and there. That's probably one from the Amano shrimp that are in here. So yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on that. If you're new to shrimp keeping, that's something that you're gonna experience eventually, and don't be concerned if you see something crazy like that. It's just a molt. Everybody's fine. Everybody's doing good if you're seeing molting. So what else is new in the Avatar tank? I ended up removing the congensis piece that was on the back of this main rock here. It was having a little bit of rot on the rhizome, and that was sort of something that happened to a few of the other plants that were attached to the rocks. Not 100% sure if that was an issue with the rhizome scratching up against the rough pumice or not, but certainly there are a bunch of other Anubias that are in the rock that are doing just fine. So not really sure what the deal was with that. It still looks pretty okay. I think I'm gonna go and get another piece to replace that because I liked having the leaves of the congensis up out of the water and filling in this back portion. But yeah, I think things are coming along pretty well. The moss is starting to get a good hold on the rocks. You can see it's the Christmas moss tips are starting to point up, and we're getting some good lateral growth. I need to go in here and trim it a little bit. That will also help to keep it nice and compact and where we want it. I also moved some stuff around. We got some boosts up here on the top left and right of this rock, right next to the current. I think that looks pretty well. This piece of Java fern back here has grown a lot since we set the tank up, and I'm pretty happy with that. Everything's looking pretty good. The dwarf hairgrass is, just kind of maintaining. There's a little bit of new growth, but it's not, it's nothing stellar. The crayfish are doing well. I haven't had any known casualties dwarf shrimp wise in a while, so that's always a plus. See him. Don't hang out there too long, dude. Get out of there. And the pogo stamon over here, this piece right here is starting to branch out, which is a good sign. Hopefully it's going to start to send off some new vertical growths here pretty soon and fill in this area. I really like the bright color of that. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm really liking that. I'm thinking about taking some more from my 90 and sort of popping in a few here and there just to give a little bit more bright green accents in the tank. I think that might look cool. So yeah, I mean, everything is going really good with this tank. I'm debating whether or not I want to glue some Christmas moss onto the wood here. I feel like it might just be a little bit too much if I were to do that. I like seeing the twig there in between the rocks, but you know, we can really kind of do whatever we want in this tank. Definitely need to get down here and trim the moss. It's getting a little crazy. Maybe spread it out a little bit to give it a little bit more of a consistent look. But, you know, other than that, you know, the tank is doing great. No problems with algae. Again, the lighting is really low and we have it set to, you know, a lot of reds here in the SE spectrum or the SE fixture. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. We need the dwarf sage to propagate. I don't know what the story is. It's looking like it's trying to a little bit back here, but I don't know if that's a substrate thing or it's probably a light thing. Based on my experience with dwarf sage, that's probably the case. This substrate should be good enough for it to go crazy in, but that's okay because we don't want there to be a bunch of plants growing up to the bottom portion of those rocks anyway. So what else is going on? The 72 is about to get a big refresh. I've neglected this tank for a long time now. It used to be one of my favorites, and it was my favorite tank for like 2 or 3 solid months. And I mean, you guys know how fast I can go through, you know, what tanks I'm really into and what tanks I'm not into based on one, the water level of the tank, which you can see is a little low. I haven't been spending enough time with this tank, and I haven't in a long time. And the reason for that is just because I've had a lot going on. You know, the Avatar tank setup, another setup that I did, and just planning a bunch of stuff, working on the channel. It made me start to neglect this tank, and it just got thrown to the wayside. So what I'm doing is I'm planning a refresh for this tank, and I want to get your guys' opinion. Let me know what you think. But here's the first thing that we're gonna do. One, we're gonna pull out all the Java fern that's over here. Probably, well, maybe not all of it. Just take out. You can see that it comes all the way up to the front of the glass, and there's not a lot of swimming room over there because of that. So we're gonna take out most of that, and then we're gonna do some rescaping. Well, maybe not in the back. I think the main thing that I need to do is pick through my carpet here and sort of spruce it up. The S-Repens, you know, I haven't been dosing this tank at all. The S-Repens really likes some added nitrogen and potassium for sure, and I haven't been giving it that, so the tips here are getting a little yellow. It's also sort of gotten a little bit leggier. I need to replace my bulbs, things like that. I also need to take out, you know, the chain swords that are running around all throughout the tank. But the big thing that I want to do is take that Java fern out, and then I want to add some rocks. So I'm going to show you guys those now. So my local fish store only had a couple of these in, but these are just big lava rocks. And my idea is to use a bunch of these in the 72. So I'll give you guys here an idea of what these rocks look like. They look really, really, really cool. You can see that nice red color. There's a good shot of it. But what I want to do is take out the existing rocks that are in here, replace them all with these big chunks of lava rock, and then build it up really high in the back. So over here on the left side, put in a bunch of lava rocks, build it up really high, and then place Java fern in between the rocks, and probably do that on both sides. I might even just do a big mound in the middle. I'm not sure yet. But that, along with, you know, going through and trimming a lot of the plants, adding fertilizers again, swapping out my bulbs, that should do a lot for the overall plant health in this tank. And then once that scape is done, I'll be sure to film it for you guys so I can share that. But once that's done, I think the big decisions that need to be made are what we're gonna do with it livestock wise. Obviously, this is sort of like my dedicated tetra tank, and I like that, you know. So option one, and again, your input really helps me out and I appreciate it. Option one is to just keep adding cardinal tetras and rumminos to this tank and just get a bunch of them. So I think I have right now like 50 cardinals and something like 20 or 25 rumminos. So what we could do is we could just double the population of each one, so get up to 100 cardinals and 50 rumminos. That would be really cool. There are some cory cats in here that sneak around, and there are some Siamese algae eaters in there as well. But just, you know, stick with the theme, stick with the tetra theme, or we could do what my original idea was for this tank, and that which was to add discus. So I'm not sure if I want to do that, and the reason why I haven't done it yet is because honestly, like all the work, all the tanks that I have right now, and you know, work with the channel, it's tough to give each one of my tanks the love that it needs to do really well. But while I know that I can care for discus, the real problem is, do I have the time to make sure that this environment is perfect for them? And you know, I'm just not sure yet. The other thing is that it's a pretty big investment. I mean, even if I go with 5, you know, juvenile discus in here, they're still gonna require a lot of care. And I wanna be able to care for those fish, you know, as best I can. You always wanna try and be as responsible of a fish keeper as possible, and so with the summer coming up and my regular job getting super busy, you know, I don't know if I want to do it, but I still really want to do it. So I'm toying with that idea again, not 100% sure. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Don't freak out if you see a molt. It's good. Your shrimp are doing great. Keep up the good work. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to go check out the Zazzle store and all the cool stuff that I'm putting out over there. Like I said, I'm trying to add new designs every week, and I also want your input, so let me know about that. Don't forget to give this video a like if you still like the Avatar tank. I'm having a blast with it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.